We've all met them. The ones who always smile and say, "Don't worry, I got this." The ones who show up without being asked, who pick up the phone at 2 a.m., who give and give and give. They are often praised, admired, even envied. People say they're so kind, so generous, so selfless, and on the surface, it looks like they have it all figured out. But what if we're only seeing half the picture? What if beneath their kindness, there's exhaustion? What if behind their generosity, there's a fear of not being enough? Today, we're going to take a closer look at a question that rarely gets asked. Are people who constantly help others truly happy? Or are they using kindness to fill an invisible void? Helping others is part of what makes us human. Psychologists call it prosocial behavior, the voluntary action taken to benefit another person. And it's deeply embedded in our biology. When we help, our brain releases a chemical cocktail: dopamine, pleasure, oxytocin, bonding, and serotonin, mood regulation. This response is so consistent, researchers have coined a term for it: the helper's high. It feels good to do good. Science backs it up. People who volunteer regularly tend to live longer, report higher levels of life satisfaction, and experience less depression. In one study by the University of British Columbia, participants who spent money on others reported being happier than those who spent it on themselves. Other research shows that helping activates the brain's reward system, much like food or sex. So yes, kindness can indeed lead to happiness. But here's the twist. Just because something is rewarding doesn't mean it's always healthy. The drive to help, when left unchecked, can take a darker turn. It can transform from compassion into compulsion. What separates healthy helping from harmful helping? It often comes down to why we're helping. Some people help because they feel full and content, and they want to share that with others. Others help because they don't know who they are without it. They don't feel lovable unless they're needed. They fear being invisible if they're not useful. This isn't helping from joy. It's helping from pain. Imagine someone who feels anxious unless they're fixing someone else's problem, or someone who finds peace only when others depend on them. This type of helping can become a form of emotional regulation, a way to distract from loneliness, low self-worth, or unresolved trauma. Like any coping mechanism, it may work for a while, until it doesn't. And that's when kindness stops being a gift and becomes a shield, a mask to cover up emotional wounds that were never allowed to heal. Let's go deeper, because for many constant helpers, their story didn't start in adulthood. It started in childhood. Imagine a child who learned early on that being good or helpful brought praise, while expressing needs or emotions led to punishment or neglect. Over time, this child learns love is conditional. I must earn it. This is the root of people-pleasing behavior. Helping becomes a strategy for survival, not just connection. In psychology, this is often linked to fawning, a trauma response where people appease others to stay safe. They say yes when they want to say no. They apologize even when they've done nothing wrong. They overextend themselves, believing their worth is tied to their usefulness. This isn't kindness. It's self-abandonment in the name of approval. And while it may appear noble on the outside, inside, it often feels like walking a tightrope, constantly fearing rejection if they stop performing. Here's the cost of unbalanced giving: burnout, Chronic helpers often suffer in silence. They carry others' emotions, solve others' problems, and forget to ask themselves, how am I doing? The signs show up slowly: fatigue, irritability, trouble sleeping, a sense of resentment that they can't explain, a quiet voice inside whispering, "What about me?" But speaking up feels selfish, because they've built their identity around being the strong one, the reliable one. In therapy, this is called compassion fatigue, the emotional residue from constantly caring for others without replenishing oneself. Left unaddressed, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical illness. So while others see a smile, inside, the helper is drowning. Here's the irony. The ones who help everyone often struggle the most to ask for help themselves. Why? Because they're terrified of being a burden. They've internalized the belief that receiving is weakness, that vulnerability makes them less lovable. So instead of reaching out, they bottle things up. They say, "I'm fine," even when they're breaking inside. They cry in secret, smile in public, keep it all together for everyone else. Psychologists call this self-silencing, suppressing one's emotions and needs to maintain harmony in relationships. It's common in caregivers, empaths, and people with codependent tendencies. And the emotional toll? Profound loneliness, a sense that no one really knows them, that they only matter when they're giving. Helping becomes a one-way street. They pour into others while their own cup runs dry. And eventually, they forget what it even feels like to be supported. Let's clarify something important. Helping is not the problem. The problem is when helping turns into chronic self-sacrifice. True altruism is rooted in abundance, giving because you're full, not because you're empty. It respects both the needs of others and your own boundaries. But when someone consistently ignores their own well-being to please others, that's not altruism. That's martyrdom. Think of the person who cancels their plans to help someone move, even though they're exhausted. Or the friend who gives money they can't afford to lend. Or the partner who constantly puts the other first, while quietly fading away inside. This kind of self-sacrifice may look noble, but it's often driven by shame, guilt, or the belief, if I say no, they'll stop loving me. And in the long run, it's not sustainable, because you can't pour from an empty cup, and eventually, even the strongest giver will run out. Here's a deeper layer. Some people help others not just out of love, but because it gives them identity. Being the fixer, the rescuer, the go-to person, it creates a sense of importance. It makes life feel meaningful. But this identity can become a trap. What happens when no one needs help? When everything is quiet? For some, it brings a deep sense of emptiness, a fear of irrelevance, a whisper that says, if I'm not fixing someone, who am I? This is what psychologists call enmeshment, when one's self-worth becomes entangled with others' needs. And when those needs disappear, so does the helper's sense of value. It's not love, it's emotional dependence, and it leads to a dangerous cycle, seeking out people who are broken so you can feel whole. So, what does healing look like? It starts with one radical truth. You deserve love, even when you're not helping anyone. Let that sink in. You are not your usefulness. You are not your productivity. You are worthy simply because you exist. Healing means shifting from compulsive helping to conscious care. It means checking in with yourself before saying yes. It means setting boundaries, even when it feels uncomfortable. It means allowing others to help you. In therapy, this often involves inner child work, reconnecting with the part of you that learned love must be earned. It involves building self-compassion, practicing saying no, reclaiming your energy. It's not easy, but it's powerful. Because once you stop helping out of fear, you begin helping from freedom. Helping others is beautiful. It can connect, uplift, and heal. But helping from a place of wholeness, that's powerful. Because then, it's not about earning love, it's about sharing it. If you've always been the helper, ask yourself, who helps you? If the answer is no one, it's time to include yourself in your circle of care. Your needs matter. Your feelings matter. Your happiness matters. You are enough, even when you're resting, even when you say no, even when you're not saving anyone. And maybe, just maybe, the kindest thing you can do for the world is to be kind to yourself. If this message touched something deep within you, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Every week, we explore the depths of human psychology, emotional healing, and the quiet strength within us all. And remember, sometimes the strongest act of love is learning to love yourself back.